We've had quite a lot of people ask us about beginner moonboarding, so we're going to talk about beginner moonboarding today. You know, when is it right to start moonboarding? When can you start moonboarding? If you're climbing around V2, V3, then you could probably start working some problems on a 40-degree moonboard. If you're not climbing at that level and you're more at V1, V2, then you probably want to be going on a 25-degree moonboard. When you first climb on a moonboard, you might not be doing all of the problems. You might just be working a few moves and building up to eventually sort of linking the problems. You know, the style of the climbing on a moonboard is quite different to sort of the style of climbing generally in a climbing gym. It's a more sort of basic, more dynamic, more sort of powerful climbing, more sort of aimed at, you know, getting stronger for sort of climbing outdoors. So I think, yeah, when you first start on a moonboard, if you're used to sort of doing circuits in a sort of commercial gym and stuff, it might seem quite sort of different. But you know, like with anything, I think if you sort of stick with it, you know, you'll get better at it, and you know, it should sort of benefit your climbing. Yeah, obviously warming up for, you know, doing any sport is really important, and you know, especially so for a moonboard because of the style of climbing that it is and everything. If it's in a commercial gym and there's access to other sort of climbing surfaces, or you know, a fingerboard or a campus board, you know, I mean, I often do sort of pull-ups with my feet on, you know, on a support bar, just to sort of, you know, get the arms going a little bit, or just do some really easy boulder problems just on the wall. If you don't have access to any other sort of warming up and you've just got to warm up on a moonboard, then I would say just pick the biggest holds on the moonboard, do a few sort of little pulls, or maybe just do one move, step off, just take your time. I normally take about half an hour or so to warm up before I'm ready to pull really hard. Just got to take your time, really. Yeah, I think if you're a beginner moonboarder, then you obviously want to try and find, you know, the easiest and best problems on the board. So, you know, the MoonBoard app has a lot of sort of really useful filters, you know, for searching for problems and stuff. If you go filter by grade and go for most repeats, you're probably going to find the easiest problems to do. So they would be the obvious ones to start on, I think. You'll notice in the MoonBoard app that there's problems that are benchmarked. Basically, these are problems that a group of moonboard moderators have said are sort of they're good for the grade. They're a high-quality problem, and they're good for a good representation of the grade. So they're good ones to sort of look out. Once you've found the problem that you want to try, basically you've got two options. Either you can try and flash the problem and get those points, or you could just try the individual moves to start off with. You know, it's hard for me to sort of say without sort of seeing you and seeing what your level is and what your experience is, what your best approach. But I'd say those are the two approaches. Either try and flash the problem straight away if you're feeling confident and you like the look of it, or just try a couple of the moves just to get a sort of feel for it. You know, when you're training on a board, you probably want to rest, you know, a minimum of 3 minutes in between each go. Certainly, if you've tried the problem from the start, you know, and you've expended quite a lot of energy, you're going to want to have sort of 3, 4, 5 minutes in between each goes. If you're only trying sort of 1 or 2 moves at a time on the problem, then you might get away with a slightly shorter rest, you know, of a couple of minutes. I think, you know, if you're a beginner moonboarder, you want to try and be getting as much sort of volume on that moonboard as you can in your sessions. So, you know, do as many moves on the moonboard as you can. So I don't think it's probably sensible, you know, when you're first starting out on a board to sort of get bogged down trying, you know, one move over and over again. If you're really getting sort of bogged down on a move and you just can't do it, think about maybe giving yourself some extra footholds or an intermediate handhold. There's lots of options to sort of experiment with. After you warm up, you might only want to try 1 or 2 problems and then just leave it for that day, you know, and have a few days away and then come back again when you're recovered. Yeah, it's good to be sort of patient and not to sort of rush in there. So yeah, your first few sessions might only be 20 minutes, half an hour. Yeah, if you're struggling to figure out how to do a particular move, or just you know how to do it but you can't do it, there's there's a nice feature in the app where you can see sort of beta videos of all the problems, and that's really helpful. you know, for sort of learning how to do a problem. You know, you watch someone do it a few times. Yeah, before you've seen someone do it, it can sometimes seem like it's impossible. Then you watch someone do it and you're like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. And then you can do it yourself. So that's a useful tip. Yeah, and a good sort of entry-level problem on the 25-degree moonboard is probably one that I set called warm-up. Yeah, one of my favourite entry-level benchmark boulder problems on the 2016 40-degree board is a problem called Bitter, which is 6B plus, set by Riccardo Caprosecca, who's a very strong Italian climber, notorious for giving really stiff grades, but I think he's graded this one about right, so check it out. Oh, it's definitely harder than the 5 plus.